Okay, let's start and people will join us. So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the two thematic parallel sessions. And now we are going to start the last plenary for today. That is the fourth plenary session for this conference on From Success to Horizons, Advancing Stunting Reduction at Scale in South Asia under the SDGs. So we heard Dr. Tehmeed in the morning talking about the Bangladesh case study on stunting. And now we'll hear more from the three government representatives in this panel. This panel is organized by World Bank, and to moderate this panel, I would like to invite on the stage Aparna Somnathan, who's the practice manager for Health, Nutrition and Population Global Practice, and for Social Protection and Labor Global Practice for South Asia at the World Bank. Aparna, please, you're welcome on the stage, and please take the session forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can hear me? So if I can ask everyone to walk into the room and take your places at the table, we've got a really exciting session coming up. So do join, do come in. So welcome, everyone, to this session, From Successes to Horizons, Advancing Stunting Reduction at Scale in South Asia under the Sustainable Development Goals. South Asia has made remarkable strides over the past decade in nutrition and stunting. Yet nearly 1 in 3 children in the region are stunted. As Dr. Tahmeed Ahmed elaborated in his keynote this morning, stunting is not just a nutrition and health issue. It's a challenge for human capital development, for economic growth, and presents inclusive development challenges. Addressing stunting is essential for our region to ensure that our children thrive and learn, that future workers are productive and able to earn and improve their living standards and contribute meaningfully to our country's development agendas. So the good news is that several South Asian countries have demonstrated what can be achieved with the right policies, strong leadership, and relentless implementation in this space. We've seen measurable reductions in stunting, where governments have elevated nutrition politically at the highest level, developed strong multi-sectoral strategies, invested in community-driven approaches, and embedded nutrition goals within health, education, agriculture, social protection systems, water and sanitation, and so on. Despite these gains, implementation challenges persist. Coordination across ministries is often limited to the national level and doesn't always translate into local action. Financing for nutrition-sensitive interventions is fragmented. Monitoring tends to focus on inputs rather than outcomes, and capacity constraints often slow down the scale-up of these initiatives. So, as we look forward, the question is not whether we know what to do, but how do we accelerate what works? How do we overcome systemic barriers? And how do we scale implementation with intensity and quality? So this morning we heard Dr. Ahmed speak about Bangladesh's experience with stunting reduction. And in this afternoon's panel, we will explore these three critical dimensions, with our panelists from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India. The critical dimensions are: what high-level decisions or institutional arrangements enabled action, and how was political will sustained? 2, how did countries translate policy into integrated implementation across sectors, and at the local levels where change happens? And 3, what reforms, innovations, or strategic shifts are needed to deliver the next phase of acceleration of these reforms? And what would you do differently if they were starting again today? This is not just a conversation about past successes, but it's also about looking at future ambition. And so with that, I'd like to invite our panelists to take us through their country-level experiences. Let's unpack together what worked, why it worked, and how we can go further and faster in the years ahead. So if you can please give the panelists give me a few minutes to introduce the panelists and for them to make their way up to the stage. First of all, we've got Ms. Razmi Avula, who is a research fellow at IFPRI. We've got Mr. R. Rushandan. He's the Director General in the Ministry of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment in the Government of Sri Lanka. Mr. Ayaz Ali is the Chief of the Sustainable Development Goals section in the Planning and Development Department at the Government of Sindh, Pakistan. And Ms. Shalini Gupta, who has joined us virtually because of ongoing parliamentary sessions in India. She is the Deputy Technical Advisor, Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India. So another warm round of applause and welcome to all of our delegates. And now, onto the panel. So first, inviting Ms. Razmi Avula to give us an overview of the global and regional evidence of drivers of stunting reduction and unmet horizon challenges in the region.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome back. And this is an afternoon session. I know this is going to be a little bit difficult to stay up, but we'll try our best. And I have an easy job, honestly, because the tone was set this morning by our distinguished speaker, Dr. Ahmed, in setting the stage for understanding what is stunting, how to think about the multi-sectoral nature of actions that are needed for improvements, and he took us through the journey of Bangladesh. Here, what I'm going to try to do is zoom out a little bit, look at the South Asia region, and then zoom in to go into a little bit of depth into the India case studies, and finally thinking about looking ahead for all of us to achieve the stunting targets, what is needed. So you will hear some of the similar points that Ahmed Bhai was making this morning, but there are some nuances that we'll also talk about. Stunting, the child linear growth, is affected by the physical, social, and behavioral environments in which the child lives and is supported by various environments. So stunting is kind of a manifestation of deficits of these various environments. But in South Asia, which is home for almost a quarter of the world's population, stunting continues to be public health concern. But it's not all gloom and doom. In the past 10 years, between 2012 and 2020, there have been improvements in stunting in the region. It declined from 41 to 31%, and the number of stunted children declined from about 75 to 53 million. So what do we do from here on to continue on that reduction path? Currently, it continues to be an issue wherein in 3 countries, at least more than a third of children continue to be stunted, and 3 other countries, at least 20% of the children are stunted. And these mask the subnational variability, of course, but still there is work for us to do. So how do we go about it, and what we have learned from before? Here is a study from between 2012 and 2020 to understand how stunting can be reduced, what are the contributing factors. Positive case studies were conducted globally. It includes about 11 countries and about 4 states in India. So each of the bars represents a country and states, right? So the different colors represent the various factors that have been examined. So what this body of work showed is actions across particularly the underlying determinants has contributed to observed reductions in stunting, which was approximately about 50%, and which related to improvements in poverty alleviation, parental education, and WASH. So again, what we are learning from this is it reiterates the multi-sectoral nature of actions needed for improvements in stunting. Zooming a little bit into the India case studies, where we have conducted trying to see how improvements happened in 4 states, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Gujarat, and Tamil Nadu, where stunting has reduced between 2005 and 2015 between 11 to 15 percentage points. We wanted to understand what has driven these stunting reductions. And what we find here is the changes or improvements in health and nutrition interventions, which is marked by that green bar, shows that a range between 11% to about 18% or 23% of improvements in health and nutrition interventions contributed to improvement in stunting. And this varied by state. So for example, 11% in Tamil Nadu and the highest in about 23% in Odisha. Similarly, household conditions, improvements in household conditions improved stunting, and this was between 22 to 47%, 47% being in Tamil Nadu and about 22% in Chhattisgarh. Maternal factors, which constitute maternal education, BMI, and age at marriage, contributed to about 15 to 30% change in stunting. So again, it reinforces the importance of emphasizing actions across multiple domains. To understand how these actions were taken and what made those what were driving those actions, we did program and policy reviews and spoke to several stakeholders in these states. And what we understand is across these states there was vision for which was a results and an approach of results-driven approach was applied to address key outcomes. Of course, if you notice, you don't see stunting on any of these as an outcome, right? IMR, MMR, food security, depending on the state. These were the focus areas, but the vision was clear. We need to reduce these aspects, and hence investments were made across different sectors. This was combined by an enabling environment. At the state level, there was political will that drove the actions. There was stable bureaucracy. Bureaucrats were given specific tenure to be able to implement programs. There was financial adequacy, and flexibility was given in improving implementing innovations. At the same time, at the national level, the programs were there that were getting expanded, the scaling. In India, we have an ICIL, Integrated Child Development Services. We have a National Health Mission program. All these programs were getting expanded across the country, and these states, under the same common national programmatic framework, took what was coming from at the national level and further strengthened and implemented innovations. And finally, there were groups of catalysts and champions who actually played a catalytic role. And these came from varied range of stakeholders. There's civil society, media, politicians, bureaucrats, who played a very important role in taking these actions and played the champion role. So again, a confluence of factors have to come together, actions have to come together across sectors. So what does this mean looking ahead from where we need to go? So basically, there are no magic bullets. Stunting reduction needs actions, multiple buttons need to be pushed, and we are looking at now food, health, and care, where we need to invest in improving. Because the underlying part, I think throughout the day I have been hearing the need for political will and importance of governance. That has to be there. But as a nutrition community, how we can think of bringing changes in food, healthcare, and where are the gaps is what we'll look at now. From a food systems perspective, we need to focus on improving child diets. Currently, the minimum dietary diversity, which is a marker of the quality of diet that children consume across the region, it's poor. Yes, there is a range, 15 to 71%, but it's not adequate. We need to get to the 100%. So how do we go about doing that? And yet you do notice there are data gaps. So we do need to invest in getting data to understand what the situation is so that we can take actions. Next, again, in the food domain, we have to increase consumption of healthy foods. Please don't try to read any numbers, it's not visible. The green bars indicate those are the healthy foods. They include fruits, animal source foods, dark green leafy vegetables, and dairy. The red ones are the unhealthy foods, which are salty snacks, sweetened beverage. The rightmost on the red is the sweetened beverages. So across the region, most countries, healthy foods are being consumed at the household level. Animal source foods, dairy, etc. There is a lower consumption of fruits and dark green leafy vegetables. At the same time, there is a high consumption of sweet beverages, and in some countries there is a high consumption of salty snacks as well. So how do we reduce the consumption of unhealthy foods and improve the consumption of healthy foods? This is something we need to focus on. And the other thing is we also know that maternal diets and household diets are closely associated with child diets. So by addressing the healthy and unhealthy diets, we can also affect the child diets. Next, we look at the health systems aspect of it. Again, please don't try to look at the numbers. The red bar, what we know from the Lancet series is at least 90% or higher coverage of interventions across the continuum of care from preconception to early childhood. Now these are about 28 interventions we have listed here. If we achieve at least 90% or higher coverage, we can achieve 20% reduction in stunting. Now the red bars indicate that we are not there, that it's below 90%, and the blue bars indicate that 90% coverage is there. So across the region, you'll see how many red bars are there, and where you don't see the bars in between, those are data gaps. We don't have the data. So there are a couple of things we need to address, right? There are large data gaps. We need large data, we need to fix that. We need to achieve 90% coverage, and across the continuum of care, the coverage is also it differs between the types of interventions and also the stage of life. For example, in some countries, during pregnancy, the coverage is high, but not in the early childhood period. So how do we address those? Now, turning to the gender aspect, we have said that the maternal factors play an important role. But if we look at the maternal education across the region, it's a high proportion of women do not have even 10 years of education. So what do we do about that? How do we put in place programs that improve maternal education? And then delay at marriage. It is important that early marriage needs to be addressed. At least greater than 20% of girls are married below 18 years of age in a few countries. And there is variability, granted, but still in Bangladesh and Nepal, India, there are still a high proportion of girls are getting married. This has implications because early marriage and then early pregnancy, which means the child doesn't get to grow, the girl doesn't get to grow. We are perpetuating the intergenerational aspect of stunting by not addressing this issue. And this morning, Tarmeed Bhai talked about stunting starting early in South Asia, right? Across all regions in South Asia, we see 20% of children are stunted right at birth. So, which is saying that our interventions that are starting during pregnancy are not sufficient. So, we need to move back and think of investing in the adolescent period. So finally, what is the need of the hour? We need to think, bring in our systems thinking. This is from Aarti Ahuja, who has been a leader and champion in India for nutrition, and she says we need to break the silos. We need to put our thinking hats on and think about each of these aspects as cogs in the machine. All of them have to turn together to move the machine. So this is how we can achieve improvements in stunting. So finally, the challenge of any multi-sectoral action, as soon as we talk about it, we talk about coordination, convergence, how do we do multi-sectoral coordination? But the focus, if we think about the mother, child, and the household, and think about how to bring actions to that particular set of households, then I think things will fall in place. So how do we ensure health, nutrition, and care for those households? How do we ensure that education is there, poverty is addressed, food security is there? So if we think about that, I think everything, things will fall in place. And of course, we need an enabling environment for that. I'll end my talk here. Thank you for your patience. Happy to take questions later on.
Thank you for that. I think that's really set the scene very nicely for the discussion we're going to have. So now we're going to have 2 rounds of questions with our esteemed government colleagues. So starting with you, Mr. Rashandan, Sri Lanka has shown remarkable leadership in putting nutrition high on the national agenda and driving coordinated action across sectors. So looking back, what were the pivotal decisions or institutional mechanisms that helped deliver results? And what key lessons would you share with other countries?
Thank you, Aparna, for the question and inviting Sri Lanka to discuss the importance and our experience to share. I would like to take you through a few milestones. Sri Lanka's free health service policy was adopted in 1951, following the Britain's health service model and the Comston report of 1950s. In addition to that, Sri Lanka adopted the free education system from 1945. So those 2 are very, very important milestones. And just after the independence of 3 years, we started these services free. And all successive governments continuously implementing to investing on this. Second, I would like to say establishing a healthcare system, right? Especially the primary healthcare going back to 1926, almost 100 years from now. It was established in Kalathura and expand up to 358 now, and with the midwife, public health midwife system, and we had trained staff to cater the mothers and the children, including the nutrition activities. And currently we have 6,000 public health midwives. And also the third one is, I would like to say, the poverty alleviation program. The dry ration of rice started in 1942, just during the World War II, to particular people. And it has been expanded to all the people in 1943 and continued until 1977. From 1977 onwards, it has been reduced to 50% of the population. That means selected the people who are under the poverty line. And from 1977, it has been changed into food stamp program to select people. And continuously in 1989 to 1995, there is a program called Samurdhi to uplift the people from the poverty line. Then it continues Janasavya in 1989 to 95, and from 1995 to up to now Samurdhi, and it still continue through SVSMA program, giving cash to the poor families. So those are the basic things, and the first nutritional policy adopted in Sri Lanka's first national nutrition policy adopted in 1986, and the strategic movements based on the global evidence, the first national nutrition policy which addressed the nutrition first time beyond the food. And National Policy 2010 aimed to strengthen malnutrition indicators. So that is the other milestone. And again, after that, we joined the Sun movement in 2012. So we integrate to many ministries. And Sri Lanka's first multi-sector action plan for nutrition from 2013 to 2016, which aimed to multi-sector approach, and also 17 ministry has been involved, including communication, education, health sector, agriculture, and the first 1,000 days of life has been introduced. And the second multi-sectoral action plan for nutrition in 2018 to 2025, which is the phase 2, and based on the sustainable development goal and also aimed target agreed upon the 2012 World Health Assembly. The National Nutrition Policy 2021 to 2030, the most recent policy framework, and which was developed to address the triple malnutrition, which is undernutrition, micronutrition deficiency, and the obesity, or overnutrition, right? So, and also escalating the non-communicable diseases. The other important turning point is the high-level coordinating body was introduced in 2018-25 multi-sectoral action plan for nutrition, which is the National Steering Committee for Nutrition. This has been chaired by the Honorable President. So the time's up now, so we have to complete within the time. Since we are government servants, we are always finish our project and programs within the time frame. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. So now over to you, Mr. Ali. Pakistan's approach to tackling stunting has evolved from a centrally driven effort to strong province-led multi-sectoral action. So from your perspective, how has the interplay between federal stewardship and provincial implementation shaped national and provincial level strategies to date? And how has global and country evidence informed the decisions that have worked well so far?
Thank you so much. From Pakistan point of view, the Pakistan has shifted its policy from centrally towards the provincial lead. All provinces have been given authority due to certain amendments, constitutional amendments. Now the provinces are leading their own programs with their own funds, with the donor fundings, and with all other fundings. The Pakistan has prioritized different SDGs goals, and particularly 8 sectors has been identified wherein different interventions are being carried out, which is health, livestock, fisheries, agriculture, education, local government, that is WASH sector, and social welfare and population welfare. And if we go into detail, already cards are up. Time has already been taken by my colleague and moderator and as well all others. So I will not go into detail, but I will be introducing certain, for example, 1,000 days program in the health sector. And Mamta, recently we have approved that project, social protection delivery system in Sindh province. And Sindh Coastal Resilience Project, we have selected and approved for the coastal resilience districts, and so many other projects under education, local government, WASH, and 53 billion rupees, 43 billion rupees we have been given by the federal government implementing the different interventions in wash sector. And 55 billion rupees in terms of Pakistani rupees have been kept for wash sector. We have prioritized this in order to, give opportunity to the local people to get to know regarding these interventions. So I think this policy Pakistan could not achieve in a couple of years ago, but now shifting of the policy from the central to the local level has been bringing some changes which are very visible at the district level. Thank you.
Thank you for keeping to time as well. So moving over to Ms. Gupta, I hope, yeah, you are. So India has a strong policy environment for multi-sectoral actions at scale, including those under Poshan Abhiyan, to advance progress on reducing stunting. So from your perspective, what aspects of this policy architecture and implementation approach have been the most effective so far in driving impact?
Thank you, Aparnaji, for the question. As you rightly said, India has a very robust policy framework, which has played a pivotal role in driving both scale and convergence in the nutrition programs. For example, the Poshan Abhiyan under the Saksham Anganwadi and Poshan Abhiyan program, which was erstwhile the ICDS program that, as we all know, the reach of this program is as on date is about, we reach around 80 million children under 6 years of age and around 10 million pregnant women and lactating mothers and around 1.8 million adolescent girls through this program. This entire thing is facilitated through a robust network of around 1.4 million Anganwadi centers spread out across the country. So all this has been possible only because of the very clear policy vision at even at the highest level, with the Honorable Prime Minister himself reiterating the commitment of the Government of India to overcome the problem of malnutrition in the country. At the ministry level, we lead this agenda through the Poshan Abhiyan scheme that you have already said, wherein there is a convergence of all other line ministries working in this area like health, education, water and sanitation, rural development and other ministries. In all, around 18 ministries converge under this program. And ICDS framework or the Anganwadi platform is the very backbone of the nutrition service delivery under this program. Talking about convergence mechanisms under the Poshan Abhiyan scheme, convergence mechanisms have been institutionalized. There are convergence meetings at the district and the block levels that are happening. These meetings bring together officials from health, education, water sanitation, and all the other departments who are working in this direction to review the progress, identify bottlenecks, and coordinate the field actions. Then there are joint action plans also between education, women and child development, and the Panchayati Raj institutions. For example, there are joint campaigns being organized for complementary feeding, anemia reduction, and hygiene promotion. And even the Panchayati Raj institutions often support mobilization, monitoring, and community engagement under these programs. Then, what all this convergence emphasis has done is this has helped align the frontline functionaries, the field functionaries, the Anganwadi workers, the Ashas, the ANS, the school teachers behind a common goal, which is child growth, adolescent nutrition and health. So, another transformational thing that has happened under the program is the introduction of the Poshan Tracker application, which has strengthened the real-time data monitoring, real-time monitoring of the program, accountability, and a targeted follow-up. Under this, in this Poshan Tracker application, field-level data is being entered by the Anganwadi workers on the service delivery, even the growth monitoring, and all other delivery of services, and all the other parameters. So that there can be a real-time tracking of the service delivery at the field level up to the Anganwadi centers, the last mile delivery, and also the it has also ensured regular growth monitoring of children at the field, so that there is early detection, early identification of the risk, so that course correction can be done in a timely manner. Also under the program, the focus is on behavior change aspect, uh, which right from Poshan Mahas and Poshan Pakwadas, wherein an entire month or a fortnight is dedicated to creating awareness on nutrition-related issues in the community, and to community-led actions which have taken the form of a Jana Andolan. The families, self-help groups, Panchayati Raj members, mothers groups, and all are engaged in conversations on feeding, hygiene, and early childhood development. So putting it all together, what has shown and what has driven this impact is that Poshan Abhiyan has created a clear policy framework and a strong political commitment across all sectors. There is a dedicated financing and consistent reviews which have helped sustain the focus. What has made the difference is that the mission has emphasized convergence, community engagement, and data-informed decision making. This alignment has also enabled the states to innovate within that coherent national structure. So that has what has, I feel, helped. Yeah.
Thank you. So we heard about Sri Lanka to start with, about how some of the key pillars of stunting reduction, the health, the social protection, were sort of built up at first, leading to multi-sectoral program of action later. We heard about Pakistan, where moving implementation to the province level has really speeded up action, but also with particular programs like in health and so on. And then about India, where at the community level, the Anganwadi centers have played a critical role in bringing together different programs. So these are some experiences of three important countries in our region. So looking ahead, let's ask about what sort of plans, policies there are, right? So starting with you, Mr. Ali, looking ahead, what implications does this federal province evolution have for the next generation of province-level stunting reduction programs? How should future program design and delivery adapt, drawing on evidence and lessons to date, to further accelerate impact?
Yes, as the policy guidelines which we are being conveyed from the federal government, the government of Sindh has taken initiatives. Before this, I will inform you regarding the recent past Sindh Enhancing Response Reduce Stunting project, which has been completed successfully in 23 districts of the Sindh out of 30. Nutrition Support Program, NSP by World Bank, that has also been completed. Program for Improved Nutrition, Saaf Suthro Sindh and Nutrition Sensitive Project. With billions of rupees, these interventions are brought at the local level. And its implementation arrangement is made through the accelerated action plan on the nutrition at 3 levels. Provincial level, AAP Secretariat, AAP Secretariat has been established, which is monitoring this program, and district coordination and support mechanism at district level has been established, and local government level at union council level, which are being implemented by the union councillors and chairmen, which have been elected. Sorry. So these were the main interventions, and shifting of the projects from the central to the local and grassroots level. The main projects now under execution are People's Poverty Reduction Program and Paidar Poverty Alleviation Program. SSPDS already told you that Mamta Strengthening and Social Protection and Service Delivery, Sindh Coastal Resilience and Sindh People's Housing Project, and 1,000 Days Program. So these all programs are being executed by government of Sindh at local level, where engagement of the stakeholders, participants from the communities are engaging on daily basis. So this has given us a very benefit, and we are thankful to government of Pakistan and partners who have supported us in implementing these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Gupta, as India works towards the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, what would you identify as the 3 game changers needed to further accelerate progress on stunting reduction? And how can research and academic community and the academic community best support the country in developing and scaling evidence-based solutions in the next phase?
Over the past decade, there has been a steady progress in stunting reduction in stunting prevalence in India. However, despite the strong policy and program environment, stunting levels are still at a very high level. So as we look toward the vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047, there is a need to accelerate the pace of this stunting reduction, because stunting is not just a health challenge. It is an economic, social and intergenerational challenge which reflects whether every child in the country has a chance to grow, learn or thrive. So what I feel is like we have achieved coverage to a very great extent, like 88 million mothers and children are being reached through the program. So what I feel is, now is the time to move from coverage to quality. Alongside coverage, we must focus on the quality and continuity of care, beginning just before conception and extending to the first 1,000 days. And also, and in order to do that, we need to elevate the quality of frontline service delivery. This means better training, better supportive supervision, digital tools to help the frontline workers, and seamless coordination across the frontline functionaries to achieve that. Also, as was pointed out earlier in the session, dietary diversity, adequate diet continues to be a problem throughout the countries in the region. So there is also a need to strengthen dietary diversity. We have worked we have actually worked towards achieving food security, but now is the time to work towards achieving nutrition security. We've recently revised the nutrition norms for the children and women for the supplementary nutrition which is provided at the Anganwadi centers also, to now include quality protein and 7 essential micronutrients that are to be provided through the food that is being provided. And thirdly, the kind of data that we are generating through the digital applications, it's time to strengthen the real-time data use and accountability. Within the Portion Tracker and the other digital platforms, we have tools to identify early risk factors, monitor progress, and drive evidence-based decisions even across the district levels. So that is the need that we need to be focusing on. And with respect to the kind of support that the research and academic community, I feel the role of the research and academic community is very important in generating evidence on low-cost, scalable low-cost solutions, operational research embedded within the program, so stronger analytics and forecasting of early identification of growth faltering, and innovations that make counseling, diet improvement, and behavior change more effective.
Thank you, Ms. Gupta. So finally, turning to you, Mr. Shannon, as Sri Lanka enters its next phase of reforms, particularly to accelerate progress on reducing stunting, what are some strategic shifts or policy or program reforms that will be most critical to drive impact in the coming years?
Now, investing in the nutrition is not highest priority for any governments, because if you investing or given the highest priority to nutrition programs, the two things. One is to see the results, you have to wait for 10, 15 years. Second one, it is not visible, right? So that's why the governments, they have different priorities within their period of power. They have to show in a democratic way. That's true. And as a policy makers and as a implementing partners, not only the donor agencies are giving the lollipops to the politicians, we also giving the lollipops. Something like implementing these kind of pushing through nutritional kind of programs. So what I would like to say, the first thing we have to look back onto our implemented programs, whether the strategies are correct or not. You know, from more than 60, 70 years of intervening different kind of program, still we are struggling to control the stunning. And we were able to reduce from 18 to 13%, just 5% of reduction within a period of two decades. And the low birth weight is still 19, and the wasting is still 17%. So we are still struggling. The other one is the most important one, which I would like to say, is digitalization of the nutrition information, aligned with the Sri Lankan government policy up to 2030. That is the most important one I would like to say. And also the leadership. All the programs should be, the steering committee should be headed by the president or the prime minister. Then only the motivation should come to the grassroots level people, as well as the various implementers. So there are many ways, and I think I have to stop here because I have to give the time to the audience. So we will discuss if you ask any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think we should turn over to the audience now. We have about 10 minutes for Q&A, slightly less. So if you've got questions, I don't know if there are roving mics or if you want to come to the front. Great.
Okay, so I have actually one question with to Rusanan sir. Basically, while we talk about I see the data of Nepal and Sri Lanka. So while just comparing with both two countries, then I saw like wasting in Nepal is stagnant since last 20 years, and stunting is in declining order. But while we see the data of Sri Lanka, then stunting is quite down, but wasting is quite high in Sri Lanka. And we also talk about the determinants of malnutrition, like the education, the wealth status. No? So this education of mother and wealth or economic status of mother or the mother, these are quite good in the Sri Lanka compared to Nepal. So what might be the possible causes that despite being educational level of mother and wealth of mother or the people in Sri Lanka is good, but the wasting is quite high in Sri Lanka. So what may be some clue so that it would be a good learning to us, no? So thank you.
Maybe take 3 questions together and then turn it over to you.
I'm Professor Renuka Silva from Bima University, Sri Lanka. My question is also from to the representative of the government. So it's we are very pleased to see that the government representatives are talking about the multi-sector action plan for nutrition in this kind of forum. So at least we are pretty happy to hear that such a document is available. But my question is, probably you might be the topic is new to your the present ministry because of the changes in the government a year ago. Now, are you confident that this multi-sector action plan for nutrition, which has been formulated for 2018 to 2025, will be at least implemented, considering the current disaster situation in the country? Because, as far as I know, the National Nutrition Committee, National Steering Committee on Nutrition, Technical Advisory Committee, provincial, district and village level committees are not functioning as far as I know. What are you going to do when you go back to Sri Lanka? Thank you.
Right, thank you. Question over there first.
Thank you. So, can I go first? Okay. So, it is not a question from a specific government, but like from all the panel, like just to represent the region. Actually, like we always talk about the multi-sectorial approach and different programs, different tools, and a lot of like, you know, goals for the country. But like, this is very difficult to understand that, you know, stunting especially, it is a intergenerational thing. And it at least needs 3 generations to be, you know, to break the cycle. So, and SDG commitments is also for 15 years only. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts that how we can continue with the unbreakable cycle with these interventions, like just to, you know, like truly influence or truly address this problem. So this is really a big question for me, and because like it is intergenerational and it needs 3 generations to be addressed. So what is the contribution of the government or the partners as well to keep the unbreakable interventions in the countries? Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we'll take those 3 questions. I know you're waiting. Others, if you want to ask questions, maybe line up behind the mic. So the first question was about the trends in stunting versus wasting. The second question also in Sri Lanka is about Sri Lanka's ability to implement the multi-sectoral policy, and the third one about the multi-generational sort of effects of stunting and how do you break those cycles. So I don't know who'd like to start.
Thank you very much for the questions. The questions from my friend, the first question, I didn't get the specific point what you're asking, which is regarding the mother's health or the education level of mothers. So I didn't get the exact point what you're asking.
So shall I repeat my question? Basically in Sri Lanka, like education and wealth quintile and even the early marriage is very less, but the wasting rate is high. So what might be like, but in Nepal, if you see then the child marriage is very high, the mother's education is less, and the wasting is stagnant, no? But in Nepal, wasting is around 8%, but in Sri Lanka, I saw wasting is around 23%. So, means, is there any connection? Like we talk about the, if the mother's education or wealth status or child marriage is high, then that contribute to the wasting. So is there any connection or is there any clarification or any insight from your side? So this is my
okay. Yeah,
it's a question about the drivers of stunting versus wasting, which you might also,
So what we were taught, the drivers that I was showing was around stunting, not so much for wasting. Wasting is more, it's more episodic also. It is affected by seasonality. So stunting is more of a long-term insults manifestation, but wasting is more immediate. And hence, perhaps you see that difference. To delve deeper into why in Sri Lanka such a thing is happening, we'll have to look at the seasonality aspect, what are some other household level conditions that are manifesting in wasting. We'll have to unpack that story. I hope that helps.
For the second question, asked by the professor now. Now, multi-sectoral approach. Now, if you take the Sri Lankan history, now we have struggled with many problems. So that's why, even though we have so much intervention, which I have mentioned, and other than that, we have the program called Triposha. Triposha means 3 kind of nutritions added: soya, maize, and milk powder. And still it is continued for the pregnant mothers and the children to give nutrition. So it started in 1973, and still it's continued. And other than that, we have the Food Act, right? That Food Act is introduced in 1980, and it gives the prohibition of advertising infant milks and encourage the breastfeeding, right? And also we have the maternity ordinance, very old ordinance. It provides 30 minutes time to the mothers each day, 2 times of 30 minutes. So we have all this intervention, but still we are unable to overcome the issues. The reason, one, we can't invest continuously because of 30 years of war. And we come up, we won the war, and we again stuck with the tsunami, a big investment against Sri Lanka made. Then again the Easter attack. Then again, and currently we have the biggest disaster. And we have to start everything from the grassroots level. And almost all the paddy land has been destroyed. So we have to go for the paddy purchasing, especially the seed paddy. So how this multi-sectoral approach will work? It's a good question, right? And normally, without any calamity also, it is very difficult for the multi-sectoral approach, because each organization, they have their own goal. They are focusing on different way. But what we can learn from the past history, the school feed program, right? The homegrown school feeding program is, interrelated with provincial and central. Now, we are the people who are executing, and the central ministry, central health ministry is involving, agriculture ministry is also involving, food production ministries and the departments they are involving. And when it's in the implementation stage, all the provincial departments take part of it, right? So that is the most important thing, to get everyone to one table. I think even though it is difficult, but we hope with this calamity also we can overcome the issues.
Would anyone like to tackle the question of the intergenerational aspects of stunting and how to break those cycles?
So yes, it is intergenerational, but we are seeing improvements in stunting. So that's what the success case studies across the globe and in specific countries are showing us, right? So it's not like this cannot be tackled. And thinking about if we understand that stunting is more of a development indicator, and it is an indicator that is saying, if we think of stunting as a smoke alarm, and we are saying it's indicating that there is fire, we have to address the fire, which is the deficient environment. We want to provide the most optimal environment for all of our children to thrive, for all of the women to thrive, so that it will see improvements in stunting over a period of time. But I don't think it's that long of a horizon that we have to wait, provided we are pushing all the buttons. So I think we have to be at it, is what I would like to say. Because it's not like the countries have not seen improvements. We have excellent examples across the globe. So I would say we need to continue. And at the same time, I also want to take this opportunity to also say that while we are seeing improvements in undernutrition, in stunting, we are also coming up on the horizon with the double burden of malnutrition. The overweight, obesity, and non-communicable diseases are coming into picture in South Asia region. There is a rise in these aspects, right? So how do we use these? But the solutions also lie across the same systems where we have to address the undernutrition. It is the food systems, health systems, and gender. Again, very similar approaches that will address the entire spectrum of malnutrition. And we have the double duty actions that are well known and established. So thinking about the healthy diets, thinking about strengthening the health systems, to take the opportunity to improve stunting as well as preventing the rising overweight and obesity and diet-related non-communicable diseases.
Thank you. So looking at the session organizers, if we can take 2 more questions from 2 people.
Sure. Thank you.
Great.
I'm Prajwal from Nepal, representing Micronutrient Forum in this conference. My question is to all the policymakers. So are there any regional policies or programs in the context of South Asia in order to tackle the stunting reduction at scale? If yes, then what are they like? And if not, then do you think any possibility of regional collaboration in policy programs to combat stunting across South Asia? Thank you.
One more.
Good afternoon. It's Iqbal from Bangladesh, Listening Dr. Tahmid in the morning and also listening the learned plenary, this session here, one thing came out very strongly that, the trend we are looking at for stunting reduction, there is a positive and downward trends, but it's not quite fast enough to reach to our SDG target or by 2030. But also, if you look at the deeply into the trend, this is an average. And Dr. Tahmid mentioned that probably we are not on track to reach to our target by 2030. I agree as also disagree. Agree in the sense that if you look at the average, then you will not reach. But if you look at by the wealth quintile, even in Bangladesh, we have achieved our SDG target long before. But looking at the poorest quintile, the stunting rate is almost double compared to the richest quintile. So we need to focus on in the priority in the next 5 years that, we focus on those children or families who have the highest level of malnutrition. So even scaling our program, we have to think where to scale and how to bring them on board, and also, my last point is the money we are spending all the time. And also, this brings the issue of, my next issue is, if you look at the spending money, we have done the public expenditure review in most of the countries, especially in Bangladesh, we have done the public expenditure review on nutrition. And over the period, what we have seen that about 12 percentage point, the increase of investment has increased by 20. But is it going to the right directions? Are we putting the money into right place or right. Program? So the issue is the governance.
We're out of time a little, and there is one more person behind you, so okay. I'm sorry to cut you off, and maybe we'll take one more question. Last one.
Thank you so much.
No, we're done.
My name is Vigyan Subedi, so I will be keeping in question short. So stunting reduction is why it is in the major dimension of the health sector. So stunting reduction is related to the mostly it will be agriculture sectors, because the stunting reduction is not can be achieved by the powder pills and tablets. So why stunting reduction agendas are most of the, like in Nepal also, multi-sector nutritional plan is being led by the health sector. So why it is not leading by the health and food sector? So, and how can we reform it? Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we're going to have a rapid fire round. I'm going to give you each like 30 seconds to either respond to some of those comments or make your final pitch. I did want to say on the question about regional programs, so the World Bank recently started the Multi-Sectoral Action for Nutrition Growth Outcomes, MANGO, which is aimed at strengthening country-led programs and policies to accelerate stunting reduction in the region and to contextualize global evidence for regional and country-level application. And as part of MANGO, the World Bank is working with regional partners like IFPRI, who are working on this agenda. So, the rapid fire round.
Very briefly, as you said, we are investing in nutrition section. From Pakistan point of view, the government of Sindh in 23-24, 5.2 billion were invested, which is increasing with the 40%, and we will be investing 9.2 billion rupees. That is 40% increase last couple of years. So investment in that sector can bring good changes, and the stunting rate would be reduced by 2034 in Pakistan up to 20%.
So, to give a rapid answer to my friend asked the final question, yes, yeah, 30 seconds. So please come outside during the tea time. I will give a clear answer. Thank you.
Reaching the last mile and thinking about the women and children at the center of everything.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to thank our esteemed panelists. Ms. Gupta, you should get 30 seconds as well. Over to you before we close.
Thank you, ma'am. I was listening to the questions and the concerns raised by our participants, the esteemed delegates from all the countries. What I feel is, as also highlighted by others, like if we really want to make an impact on stunting, the focus area should be to focus on first 1,000 days, because that is when the, as Rashmi ma'am also pointed out, that children are born stunted. So that is my assumption.
Thank you. So now we can thank our esteemed panelists for joining this conversation, and a big round of applause for all of the work they do and for sharing it with us today. Thank you.